Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the College Football Smoke Break Podcast. I'm Craig Smoak with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or at least that's when new episodes drop. You can, of course, watch and listen at any time, and do appreciate whenever you do, however you do. And if you're doing so on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. Would appreciate the support. And let's get right into it. Some games to predict, as we already have on 365 Sports YT, where you can join us over there Monday through Friday every single afternoon. We're going to get to that, but we've got some breaking news to start off this episode of the College Football Smoke Break Podcast, and close to home as well. You may remember the story out just late last week, last Friday. Outkick the coverage, putting out an article on Baylor Athletic Director Mack Rhoades involving a dust-up that he had prior to the Arizona State game with star tight end Michael Trigg, and there wasn't a big to-do about it really nationally. Maybe that was the timing of the Friday afternoon release. I think most of all, and most damning for Baylor actually, is that it was a lack of care by most people because they're sort of irrelevant right now in the grand scheme of things. I am completely convinced that if they were 10-0, if they were in the thick of the college football playoff race, that would have been a much bigger story. But the fact that they're just sort of out of no man's land right now, people looked at it, and people who don't like Baylor or maybe don't like Mack Rhoades for some reason, they found it interesting, but they quickly lost interest and moved on because games got underway, and that overtook the weekend news cycle. But people who really had no skin in the game whatsoever, I don't think they much cared. Now, there was some element of more people caring for the simple fact that Baylor Athletic Director Mack Rhoades was this year's college football playoff chair. So you had fans from Indiana or fans from Ohio State or Texas A&M or whoever that might not otherwise ever look this guy's direction, and now suddenly we're looking at him every single Tuesday night and determining that he was either a homer against their team or he was in favor of their team or whatever the case may be. But it was a story that dropped and looked like it could be one of those, this is going to be a really bad look. And while it was a bad look, especially for Mack Rhoades, and it's another just, here's Baylor in the news cycle for something stupid, day number 437, it just kind of it went away pretty quickly. We touched on it briefly on 365 Sports on Monday, a couple of days after the fact when we got the first opportunity to do so. And we, of course, have interviewed Mack Rhoades dozens of times, been around him plenty of times at games, crossing paths in the press box and whatnot, and have always enjoyed our interactions and haven't always agreed on everything, but certainly respect the guy best I know him. And, didn't think really anything too much about the bigger picture stuff when it came to his job at Baylor when this story dropped or anything along those lines, because it didn't appear to be a situation where heads needed to roll. So having said all of that, today the news comes out from Ross Dellinger that Baylor Athletic Director Mack Rhoades, the head of the College Football Playoff Committee this season, is going to be taking a leave of absence for personal reasons. Says that Rhoades initiated the leave, which started yesterday. How this impacts Rhoades' appointment on the CFP selection committee and being the chair is unclear at this time. So a bombshell there from Ross. He continues, Baylor was made aware of the allegations involving AD Mack Rhoades and is conducting an investigation. Sources tell Yahoo Sports the allegations are unrelated to a September 20th game against Arizona State involving a football player, Michael Trigg, a story originally emerging last week from Outkick. These new allegations do not involve Title IX or any direct interaction with a Baylor athlete, sources say. The university completed a separate investigation into the September 20th football game. So, my gosh, a lot to unpack there and a lot of room for speculation. But first things first, man, I hope everything's okay. Again, don't want to speculate, but it sounds like, maybe you've, again, I don't want to speculate, but maybe you've done quite a few different things with how vague this is. This could be anything from like drugs or alcohol to improper personal conduct to, any number of things. And that's why speculation is pretty reckless. But this isn't involving the Michael Trigg incident. And that's initially what we obviously started talking about here and why Mack Rhoades got into the news cycle to begin with. a lot of people wondering, speculating Friday, Saturday, and whether or not it would be something that cost him his job, something that would make Baylor move to fire him, and that didn't appear to be the case. It seemed like it was something that they were going to be able to move past. Michael Trigg's father quoted that Outkick the article. Certainly not happy with the situation, but not wanting heads to roll, and really, like most other people involved, wanting to just simply move on. What this is about, I'm sure we will hear at some point, but no idea at the moment. And I just wish him well for whatever that's worth, and as best as we know the situation to be, especially if it's an issue with substance or something along those lines. I don't know though. Perhaps it's any other number of things, but man, only Baylor, right, would have the college football playoff chair committee last about a couple weeks before something pops up and he doesn't even make it to the finish line. And I'm just really not sure what to think at this point, other than I hope his house is in order, and I hope this isn't anything nefarious. Now, it's college sports. It's just life in general. So if it is, I'm not going to be shocked by that. I don't know. I could possibly be shocked by whatever it is, but I'm not shocked that things happen and things unforeseen can occur. But yeah, I mean, just really kind of driving in the dark on this one, and surprised by this story dropping today. So kudos to Yahoo Sports and Ross Dellinger for putting that out there initially, and Outkick with that Michael Trigg story from just last week. Thought there was a possibility that could be a bigger thing that turned into something like this, but the fact that they're unrelated, I mean, really that makes this even more of a mystery. So I'm sure in time details will emerge, if not even later today in some places. But yeah, just really unfortunate, really bizarre in some ways as well. So yeah, man, I don't really know what to say. I'm sure I'll have a more well thought out opinion on 365 Sports by the time we get our Thursday edition of the show underway. But that's obviously big news. No word yet on who the College Football Playoff Committee will move forward with, and no word on how Baylor will move forward at this point. I'm sure by the time you listen to this, there's already probably a move that's been made on their part. And as a matter of fact, I'll even double check my inbox real quick, and no announcement by them. So this is all kind of unfolding in real time. But my goodness, what a story, what a bombshell, and what a bad look for Mack Rhoades. So whatever it is that he's caught up in or dealing with, or whatever the case may be, yeah, this is not a good look for him. And to a lesser extent, I guess Baylor just by proxy, but I guess a lot more of a feeling will be able to be fleshed out when we actually know maybe what's going on there. So had to start off with that, as that just dropped in our laps here in the last few minutes from Ross Dellinger. So man, I'm kind of reacting to it in real time there. So we'll see what happens and how everybody moves forward accordingly. But very real chance now that Baylor could be looking at a new athletic director, a new head football coach potentially as well. And who knows what the domino effect of that is. But I hope, I really, truly hope there's nothing criminal or nefarious. But I'll leave the speculation to just stop right there before we get too far down that road, because, man, that can get out of control really quickly. Meanwhile, we normally spend time just talking about games, but obviously sometimes other things take precedent, like coach firings or AD suspensions, CFP chair suspensions. There are still games to be played. A couple games already underway this week, but the big games, the banger games this week, and the picks that we dropped over on 365 Sports YT as we do weekly. Well, let's get started with those. At 11 a.m., Notre Dame, the number 9 team in the country, the Fighting Irish, the bane of a lot of people's existence because of the fact they don't play in a conference, because of the fact they've lost a couple games, and they get treated still pretty well compared to probably a lot of other teams. Now, granted, the teams they lost to are A&M and Miami, so there's no shame in that game, but there's always the Notre Dame quandary, it seems like every year, and always the Notre Dame fatigue, and always the Notre Dame angst that pops up in the college football playoff discussion each season. Well, there's going to be a lot of Pittsburgh fans this weekend as the number 22 Panthers host the Irish in a 22-9 matchup, 11 a.m. on ABC. Pittsburgh with the quarterback change a few weeks back with Heinschel. He's been great in replacement of Eli Holstein. And the Panthers have been a team that's not really flying under the radar at this point. They're going to be on the national radar very much this weekend, but a huge opportunity for them. And I think they will have thousands, if not millions, at their back, hoping, praying, and rooting for the upset in order to upset the Notre Dame apple cart and also just create some chaos that'll be fun for everybody, but particularly for some if it involves Notre Dame getting dinged as a result. And certainly it would be a ding, even though Pittsburgh's a top 25 team. A third loss, not even Notre Dame can talk their way or walk their way out of that one. I do pick the Irish here, but man, there is the elements of an upset involved. And certainly you got to kind of side eye this one a little bit and go, okay, I could see this occurring. I mean, on the road, early kick, a good Pittsburgh team. There's some recipe, or there's some ingredients for the recipe of an upset here this weekend, but I'm not going that far as what I'd put my money on. Give me the Irish just straight up head up over number 22 Pittsburgh, but that's the game that could really turn things on its head in the CFP this weekend. Also at 11 a.m., a big game in the G6. As we know, they'll have that coveted playoff spot, and it's kind of been a hot potato. It's bounced around from Tulane to USF to Memphis. We've got James Madison that's rolling in now. North Texas has been involved, and all, if not some of those, are all still involved, among others. But a big game for number 24 USF, as they right now look like they could be that G6 representative, but they've got to go to Annapolis and take on the Navy midshipmen and what ought to be a heck of a game, 11 a.m. on ESPN2. A big challenge for the Bulls, but the Bulls have met the call more often than not this season. Just the one loss, and a team with Byron Brown there at the head of things, where he's just been ultra impressive, and they've been a great story. And USF, a program that's doing everything seemingly in its power to try and get into the the P4 level. As much as people hate those terms are relevant to just kind of separate and identify who we're talking about. And USF has made no bones about however much people want to talk about. It's a more even balance than people portray it to be as far as the P4 and the G6. Well, South Florida is one of those schools that wants that to be true and does believe that and does want that message to come across, but at the same time, they're doing every single thing in their power to get to one of those Power 4 leagues. And the money is obviously a driving reason as to why, but so is access. So is the stage. And USF going and making the playoff would be as much of a big step as they could possibly make at this point in time. Winning the American, I mean, great. That would be great. It would be a nice accomplishment, but it's not going to really register nationally. You go, though, you make the playoff, you go upset somebody. It's going to shine an even brighter spotlight on your head coach, Alex Golish, but it would be a great spotlight on the school and the types of moves that need to be made for them to make the move that they ultimately want to make. I'll take USF on the road. They're nearly 10-point favorites at Navy, but the midshipmen there 7-2. Both these teams with one loss in the American. South Florida at 4-1, Navy at 5-1. So this is a very important game, and not only the American for sure, as it will create some separation with just a couple of weeks left to play, but also some playoff ramifications as well. But give me the Bulls on the road. 2:30 on ABC, a couple of mega matchups in the SEC and some separator games, some elimination games in some cases. But Oklahoma, the number 11 team, at number 4, Alabama. Alabama's got to feel great about its chances, although some big challenges remaining, including Oklahoma this weekend. And Oklahoma, this is not a team that Alabama's just owned by any means. Just last year, the Sooners, who were very average a year ago, picked them off. The Sugar Bowl years and years ago, the Trevor Knight game, picked off Alabama then again as well. Alabama's had their fair share of wins, but definitely not a game you take lightly or for granted. Sooners and Tide, a classic uniform matchup. This ought to be great. 2:30 on ABC. Give me the first home team of the weekend, Alabama. Right now, just under touchdown favorites. I like the way Ty Simpson's played now. They have no run game really to speak of, but neither does Oklahoma. I mean, these are two teams that have had to be precise in the pass and just kind of hit the plays where they can get them, but have not been able to just grind out runs for wins. They've leaned on their defenses, and so this could be a really ugly game. I like, though, Ty Simpson at home to be able to put points on the board versus John Mateer, who can be very erratic. He can be great, but I think he's going to, maybe make a mistake or two in trying to make the big play, and that'll ultimately tip the tide in favor of the Tide. Give me Alabama to win in Tuscaloosa this weekend and effectively eliminate Oklahoma, not only from the SEC picture, which would give them their third loss and move them to 3-3, but also would definitely eliminate them from the national championship college football playoff picture as well. 2:30 Big Ten Network, number 21 Iowa, number 17 USC. This is the game I flip-flopped on more than any other. Gone back and forth. I go with USC here, Jade Mayava. Now, they've had their struggles of late. Things have been kind of erratic offensively for them. And Iowa has been much better offensively. And Iowa just here within the last few days, the near upset of Oregon and the driving cold and rain there in Iowa City will be much different weather, you would assume, in Los Angeles this weekend. And give me USC at home. But again, would not be shocked at all to see the Hawkeyes win this game. I won't proclaim that I told you so by any means, playing both sides of the fence here. But this is a game where I truly could see either result and could really flip a coin to try to determine the winner. But ultimately, I settled with USC and Jade Mayava to keep it rolling. A very quiet but successful year thus far for Lincoln Riley, who even with as quiet as they can seemingly maintain it to be, still can't completely avoid coaching rumors. He's tried to downplay those. Would he be interested in the LSU job? He was linked to that when he took the USC job the first time around. Believe it or not, there is a corner of Baylor fandom that believe Lincoln Riley would be interested in that job. I don't see that, but there's a belief that he'd want to come back to Texas. And I don't know. I don't. Maybe if they go find the new athletic director because they're now forced to, and it's somebody who's buddy with, and maybe, just maybe, I could see that being a 1% chance. But just throwing some of the rumor mill stuff out there, not putting any gasoline on it by any means. I'm not buying it. But even the point being, even when they've kind of been able to be as quiet as possible, Lincoln Riley can't avoid somehow being involved in coaching mentions. But a big opportunity for both teams here. Big game in the Big Ten. Give me the Trojans at 2:30 over the Hawkeyes. And then finally at 6:30, another one of those big SEC matchups. You got Oklahoma, Alabama earlier in the day, and then in the evening on ABC, number 10 Texas at number 5 Georgia. And this ought to be a heck of a game. These two teams have met quite a lot recently, it feels like, and Georgia has been the better team in each of these recent instances. The Bulldogs 8-1, 6-1 in the SEC. Texas 7-2, 4-1 in the SEC. Texas, for as downtrodden as things felt just a couple of weeks ago, able to kind of right the ship and just stay in the race even without playing last week. That Vanderbilt win was absolutely huge for them. Vanderbilt's now been seemingly knocked down a peg, and plus Texas has the head-to-head. So they find themselves in that grouping with Ole Miss and Georgia and Bama and A&M, and to a lesser extent Oklahoma, but they've got a win over them as well. So really it's Texas a part of that 5-team grouping there in the SEC that's really at the head of the race at this moment with one loss or less. Georgia, Texas, I mean, somebody's getting their second loss here. Give me the Bulldogs in Athens. I think Arch versus this Georgia defense is going to be fascinating, but I just as much think that Gunnar Stockton versus this Texas defense is going to be fascinating. I can't wait for the chess match between Sark and Kirby Smart. This might be the game I'm most looking forward to, actually, of all the games this weekend, because there is elimination factor. Somebody will take their third loss and or in the case of Texas, could take their third loss and effectively eliminate them from the playoff. A second loss at this point would really put them in a tough spot that they probably won't be able to overcome as far as the SEC title game as well. But if they beat Georgia, well, then all bets are off. Texas is very much in this thing. And then suddenly they've got head-to-head over Vandy, over Oklahoma, and then they would have that over Georgia as well, and the opportunity to then play Texas A&M. So huge game in the SEC race and in the national title picture. Give me the Dogs to win, though, in Athens. What a weekend we've got in store. Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. Again, give me the Irish. Give me USF at Navy. Give me Alabama at home against OU. Give me USC at home against Iowa and Georgia at home against Texas, and certainly at least one, if not two, and maybe if we have a really chaotic weekend, like 3, 4, 5 of those will all be wrong. I don't care so much about my record and being right. I try to be, and it's nice to be, but I do like chaos as well, and I wouldn't mind to see a little bit of it this weekend to really make things spicy and interesting down the stretch. But even if things stay chalk, there's plenty of interesting debates to be had as far as the conference races and the postseason goes with just a couple weeks remaining. Going to enjoy these last few weeks of the regular season. What a menu this weekend. Appreciate you for watching and listening. Feel free to join us Tuesdays and Thursdays or whenever you can here on the Smoke Break College Football channel. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And when we join you on Tuesday, maybe we're talking more follow-up on this Mack Rhoades story. I'm sure we'll have more details as far as the committee and Baylor's reaction as far as their AD spot goes. But we'll certainly have these results to talk about as well and the fallout from all of that and whatever else emerges over the weekend and the next few days. Until next time, thanks to Garrett Ross behind the scenes. I'm Craig Smoak. Have a great week, everybody.